to be a busy day, and we do not want to inconvenience the assembly members. We would go ahead and proceed, and we can leave the item open.
All right. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. Thank you, Chair Nielsen. AB 171 would establish funding continuity to our CVSOs who connect veterans in our state with the benefits that they have earned. Recent military conflicts have created a new generation of veterans, and California CVSOs are the primary local point of contact for access and assistance with federal benefits. Over the last 2 decades, the return on the state's investment in CVOs has been extremely positive, nearly 100 to 1. This money not only helps our veterans, it supports our economy. This year's budget funds CVSOs at $5.6 million for the 3rd year in a row. AB 171 would set a funding floor at $5.6 million, which would provide predictability and the confidence needed for our CVSOs to retain staff and plan ahead. The bill would require development of a formula for allocating resources that encourages innovation and rewards outstanding service. This will require that CVSOs justify the increased spending and ensure that changes are made to target underserved populations or to adjust to the changing needs of California veterans. My office is continuing to work with stakeholders and Calvet to modernize reporting requirements and guarantee accountability with this funding. I have with me here today Pete Conity from the California Association of County Veteran Service Officers. And where's? Pete's coming. I do have you with me today.
Mr. Conity has been a stalwart Assemblymember Urban over the years.
Mr. Chairman, members, Pete Conity, as mentioned, representing the County Veteran Service Officers, and as the Senator knows, this has been a long, hard slog, and we appear that we're getting to the finish line. The money is in the governor's budget, as well as money for the strike teams, but we think it's important that this bill keep moving. It has tremendous support, and it does some things that aren't contained in the budget, so we would respectfully ask for an aye vote. Oh, and I want to thank Senator Nielsen and Senator Hueso and the 23 other senators that signed a letter of support for this funding to go to Senator Leno, Assemblywoman Shirley Weber, and we sent it to the governor's office also.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Don Harper, and I'm the Legislative Chairman for the American Legion Department of California. And we're here to strongly support funding for this bill. In fact, I came back from Vietnam. I went to the VSO office and got my benefits a long time ago and got a claim. So very appreciative of the hard work they do. So we recommend a strong support of this bill. Thank you.
Cindy Hillary on behalf of the 34 rural counties in California in strong support. CVSOs often fill a niche that is not able to be served in our rural counties by county employees, and so they fill a very important void in our communities and then we're in strong support of that funding being filled every year. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Paul Yoder, on behalf of the Boards of Supervisors in the counties of Placer, Fresno, Kern, Madera, Napa, San Joaquin, and Solano, urge your aye vote and just want to express our gratitude to the veterans of this state for their service. Thank you.
Nicole Wortelman on behalf of the Ventura County Board of Supervisors in support. Last year, CVSOs helped our veterans draw down about $10 million in Ventura County from the federal government, and we are strongly supportive.
Mr. Chair, Steve Calmer on behalf of the Board of Supervisors of Los Angeles County. We thank the author for bringing this bill up. We think that the ongoing funding will allow us to continue to serve our over 300,000 veterans in our county. Thank you so much.
Senator Hueso, this is AB 171. Assemblymember Irwin is bringing this up.
Good. Thank you.
Okay.
Marty Keller, Deputy Executive Director of the Disabled Veteran Business Alliance, in strong support of the bill.
Andrew Langley on behalf of Contra Costa and Marin counties in support. Thank you.
Very fine turnout today. Any other supporters out there to come forward? Assemblymember Irwin, you've done a good job of getting a good turnout here today. Do we have any questions of members of the committee? Senator Hueso.
Just some comments. I want to thank the author for bringing the bill forward. This is a really good bill for veteran families. I really appreciate this. We had a good chance to look into what your bill does, and a strong advocate, Jerome Encinas, I see him in the crowd there. We got a chance to talk about this, and I appreciate just your work on this issue. We're representing a lot of veterans in San Diego, especially families like these that will be affected by your bill. I want to move it if it hasn't been moved.
Please, Senator
And
Hueso.
I would even consider being a co-author if that was still possible. Thank you.
Indeed. Do we have any opposition? I would not expect any, and certainly if I'm not already, you can add me as a co-author. I did sign the letter, and I don't often do that in my capacity as vice chair of the Budget Committee. And I will indicate that a degree of thanks to the governor. This has been a tough one over the years of late when we've had challenges in our budget. Mr. Connerty certainly knows, and Senator Hueso, who was previously served as chairman here, knows that very well. And the governor putting it in the budget initially is a significant thing, a recognition by the administration, by the governor, how important this is. It would be our hope that we would be able to count on this each year in the budget. It's incumbent on all of us, though, who care about veterans to find other means and sources, too, to enhance our efforts out in the community. But this is a good base and a start. And with that said, we have a motion and a second, and we better set our quorum, though we have not got that now. And now with all the members sufficiently, would Secretary please call the roll?
Nielsen,
Here.
Hueso,
Aye. Here.
Allen, Nguyen, Roth. So we've got a quorum.
We have a quorum here present, and we have a motion by Senator Hueso. Secretary, please call the roll.
AB 171, do pass, but first we refer to appropriations. Nielsen,
Aye.
Nielsen, aye. Hueso,
Aye.
Hueso, aye. Allen, Nguyen, Nguyen, aye. Roth.
Okay. We've got it on call, but we'll have other members show up shortly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And, yeah, come on forward. Assemblyman Chavez.
Afternoon, Senator.
You have AB 413.
Yes, sir. Chair and members, when a disabled veteran business owner dies or is unexpectedly injured, his or her spouse or family member faces a number of problems, including maintenance of an established and successful business. AB 413 would allow a spouse or child to enter into additional state contracts during the 3 years currently permitted for the continued operation of a DVBE. You'll hear from the opposition today that family members are not deserving of the sacrifice of veterans. Those who bore the sacrifice should receive the benefits, they will say. But I challenge you to question whether or not a military spouse or child is deserving or has not earned the right to carry on the business for a short period of time of 3 years. That other times aim to serve our veterans and the community as a whole. Families sacrifice a great deal for our veterans. Having been in 28 years in the Marine Corps, my wife and 3 children could say they served those 28 years. We have worked with the Senate Veterans Committee and have made clarifying amendments to ensure that the sanctity of the DVB certification process is preserved, and that only those family members who had an active participation in running the business would be eligible for entering into state contracts for a maximum of 3 years after the death of a veteran. AB 413 is supported by Disabled Veteran Business Alliance, the American Legion, and various veteran service organizations, and the Cal Asian Chamber of Commerce. Today, for witnesses, I have Heather Fernandez to my right, survivor of DVB veteran, and Mike Sablanco with the DVB Alliance. No further questions.
Would you please go ahead and testify?
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity to share my thoughts regarding this bill. My name is Heather Fernand, and I am the wife of David Fernand, who was the Marine. David dreamed of having an electrical business of his own, and in 2003, we opened up our own electrical company called One Way Electric, DBA Integrity Electric. A couple of years later, we both came upon this DVBE program. As a struggling small business, this opportunity was a dream come true for David and his vision. This DVBE program helped David reconnect with his military past, and it gave him a greater sense of pride for his services as a Marine. Our business, One Way Electric, allowed him to become more productive in the community, which also gave him a greater sense of stability for him and our family. Unfortunately, David was in a tragic motorcycle accident last year, which led to an untimely passing in November of 2014. David's passing was devastating to our family and the business. Then it came across my heart and my mind about losing the DVB status so suddenly. It nearly cost me to shut down my business forever. If it's not for the support of other DVBE business owners, I wouldn't have been able to continue. It happened overnight, just like David's accident. It was stripped away from me and my family in a flash. That is why this bill is so close to my heart and is so valuable for all the other future widows of disabled veterans in California who operate DVBE businesses. Now, assuming that the bill is enacted, it is my understanding that AB 413 will not take effect until the 1st of 2016. One of my greatest concerns is for the continuance of my business and the availability of AB 413. For those of us sitting in this situation now, I would propose for AB 413 to have a retroactivity. This will allow me and my family to adopt the business model and hopefully continue David's legacy and his dream. After sharing my thoughts with you, what I believe are the thoughts of all the family of disabled veterans who could be affected by a sudden death. I am praying that you will see the importance of this AB 413 bill to help you decide on how shall the spouses and the family of disabled veterans business should survive. Thank you very much.
Chairman Nielsen, thank you. Committee members. My name is Mike Sabelico, and I'm the Executive Director of the Disabled Veteran Business Alliance, and we are the proud sponsor of AB 413. The Alliance is a 501c3 nonprofit that's been operating for 21 years in the state of California and recently became one of the largest nonprofits in the country that directly supports disabled veteran business owners. The Alliance is a vibrant organization that empowers, provides resources to, and works side by side with disabled veterans to promote and support them in establishing, maintaining, and growing viable business enterprises. I served 21 years in the United States Coast Guard, and I find myself in harm's way on a number of occasions, like many of my veteran brothers and sisters. I know that this bill means a lot to us because, as veterans, we want to believe that our sacrifice and the sacrifices our families have made mean something. Veterans from the Vietnam era were not treated properly. In fact, the way they were treated was unacceptable. Veterans today are treated much better and are supported by a plethora of organizations that help with health care, homelessness, employment, and entrepreneurship. Military families also sacrifice much to support their active duty service members. Moving around the world at the drop of a hat, I personally moved 7 times in 11 years. Worrying about the safety and health of their deployed loved ones, which in my opinion is more difficult than actually serving. And the daily grind of life challenges without the support and presence of their loved one. AB 413 will provide disabled veterans like myself with the peace of mind that my small business will not struggle in the event of my untimely death, and that there will be a period of 3 years for my spouse to transition my business to another business model, which will allow the business to not only survive, but to grow and be a strong contributor to our overall economic success in our great country. AB 413 will also ensure that employees of DVBE firms who lose their owners to death don't find themselves out of a job overnight. These people, many of them are veterans because DVBE firms hire veterans at twice the rate of non-DVBE firms. All have their own families and have put more than just hours into their job, as small businesses are more like a family than a place of employment. These folks deserve to see their business be given a chance to continue to grow and thrive, and they don't deserve to have to mourn the loss of their business owner as well as getting in line to collect unemployment. It's very important to a DVB, as a DVB, to know that their business, family, and employees will have a chance to survive despite the untimely passing. I know that it personally will give me a peace of mind. I've done some research with DGS and Calvet, and over a 5-year period, this scenario only occurred 6 times. So only 6 DVB owners passed away of untimely deaths during that period. There will be more as the DVB pool increases, as we get more veterans from the next generation returning from Iraq and Afghanistan. But we're talking about a small number of occasions each year. This bill will help people like the young lady sitting next to me to find some hope in the face of a tragic situation. She is now the owner of One Way Electric, and she found herself facing this scenario trying to cope with the tragic loss of her husband while simultaneously seeing her business be forced to almost close its doors overnight. Please vote yes on 413 and help us.
There have been concerns raised about the succession, and Assemblyman Chavez, you have taken amendments, accepted amendments here that will help alleviate that. I understand that you found those acceptable to you, the amendments that would allow the succession to just toll through the balance of that 3-year period.
Yes, Chair.
That's one of the amendments, and then it indicates the intent that the program is violated if non-disabled veterans are allowed to compete against eligible veterans, and the 3-year, the completion of that 3-year window, that does not violate the extent of the intent. That is added as intent language, which is also important, and the finding that 3 years is found as to be sufficient time for that succession to be established. Are those correct? Did I describe the amendments?
That's correct, Chair.
All right. And do we have any questions of members of the committee? Do we have any opposition? Support. Please. Support. More support.
Pete Conatee, representing my veteran clients that are listed in support of the bill. The AMVETS, California Association of County Veterans Service Officers, Estate Commanders Council, the Military Officers Association in California, and especially the Veterans of Foreign War and the Vietnam Veterans of America. And we think that this is a very reasonable measure. We think that this issue has been handled properly and appropriately. I do know that people have concerns with the entire program or other issues, but that's not the focus of the bill. The focus of the bill is very narrow and allows for legitimate survivorship of the surviving spouse to continue the business. I'm a disabled veterans business enterprise. If I drop dead tomorrow, my wife would go out of business. So this is a very reasonable measure. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, again, Don Harper with American Legion. I'm also a disabled veteran. With the provision, with that 3-year sunset clause, we support this bill. We think it's a good bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Please.
Yolanda Benson, on behalf of the California Asian Pacific Chamber of Commerce. We are in support of this bill. Many API businesses are DVBEs, and we think this is a reasonable measure and are supportive.
Thank you.
Hello, Erica Courtney. I have a Business 2020 Vet, certified DVBE in the state of California, and I strongly support this bill.
Thank you.
Jamie Kahn, representing the Associated General Contractors, and sorry I didn't get my letter of support in, but we are supportive of this bill, and we think this is a very good idea, and would urge your passage. Thanks.
Yeah. Sure.
Ken Shoemake, a certified California business owner with 4 locations in California. We're fully invested in California. My wife always says that we were in the Army, and she feels like she was a full participant in defending America. So we're in support. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Peter Cameron. I'm president of Veterans Resource Centers of America and Vietnam veteran. We're fully in support of this bill. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I thought you'd indulge me a little bit to get some information from, I got a chance to meet with an advocate for this bill, and I wanted to see if I could call him up to ask him a few questions directly. No disrespecting the member, but. No problem. If I can, I see Jerome Encinas there again. If you could come forward. I just, okay. Just briefly, I had a little bit of heartburn with this bill because it didn't immediately reflect kind of the spirit of the DVB program to benefit veterans directly. And I just wanted to, based on our conversation, there wouldn't be an open following. Let's say they get an award, and you're saying that after they get an award, should they pass after that, this will give them the ability to fulfill the requirements of that award once they received it.
That's correct. Senator Jerome Encinas on behalf of the DVBA. I appreciate that question, Senator. Yes, that will be the ability for them to fulfill the contract and the award that's been given to the DVBA upon the passing of the member. A lot of folks have said, why can't we do this in a year? Why do you need 3 years? And quite frankly, we don't think that the courts would be able to, these things can be pretty litigious. And we don't believe that the courts will be able to do it in a year and be able to sacrifice to get this done in the year.
Okay.
We look at this, I know people have also had concerns about, how many instances this happen. This is not something that's common. It doesn't happen very often, but we look at it as jobs. We're not just providing just for the family of the DVBE, but we're also providing jobs for other Californians in the state. And some of the DVBEs have very large operations.
Okay, and would this allow that business to bid for further contracts within that 3-year period? No, so it's really just.
Yes.
It would? Okay. Okay. So.
Can I answer that?
Sure.
Please, I apologize.
Mike Sabelico again. So Senator Hueso, that's a very good question, and yes, it would. And the intent is to let the business succeed. If they could just continue the contracts that they were awarded, they would more than likely have to shut their doors. So business is about business development too. You have to fill that pipeline. So you can't just continue those contracts and not be able to, if that's your business model, to use your DVB as leverage, it's going to take time, and we think 3 years is about the right number of years to do that.
So the fulfillment of these contracts could extend beyond the 3 years?
The fulfillment of any contract is dependent on the state.
Yeah.
The state sets the term, and the state has the choice at the end of the DVB certification period whether to continue the contract or not. In most cases, the state continues the contract because it will cost the state money to recompete it. And it makes sense, as a taxpayer, I'm glad that happens, that they don't. They just continue the contract. But it is my understanding in the intent language, and Mr. Teasdale might be able to help us on this, is that the state can't count that towards their DVB percentage.
So now they would be able to?
The state would not be able to count it towards their DV percentage beyond the 3 years.
Beyond the 3 years, okay.
Correct.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Mr. Encinas, does that give you some comfort then? Does that diminish your heartburn?
Yes. Absolutely, Senator.
Further questions, Senator Wade?
That's all good. Thank you.
All right, do we have a motion?
Any opposition?
Oh, excuse me, I'm getting ahead. Opposition. We do have some opposition.
Yeah, step up.
Welcome. Please come forward. Please sit down, just identify yourself for the record.
Good afternoon. My name is Valerie Lewis. I am the president of the Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business Network. I am also a Small Business Task Force member out of Post 1 of the American Legion. And we've been active in the State Advisory Council here in Sacramento. And one of the things that we want to bring to the attention of the committee is that this bill is very misleading, because I heard the family. I want to just say that this bill is not, our opposition is not opposed to family members continuing the business. We believe that the law already provides for the spouse, not only the spouse, but the child for the 3-year period. We believe that this is a waste of time and money for us to be discussing this bill because what was originally written and intended is now not the case. What the proponents of this bill are trying to make us believe is that it's going to benefit everyone. It's not. It's only going to benefit a very small portion of people. If you consider that there's only 3% of the contracts in the state, that's even more limited. And to us, to have a civilian, equating to a disabled veteran is an act of stolen valor. And what we're saying is that there's already provisions for families. We have more disabled veteran business owners in the state who are opposed to this bill than we do those who, are a proponent of it. So we would ask you to vote no because the law already provides for family members. And you would be setting a precedence that we do not think, John Lopez is the godfather of the disabled veteran movement, and I know that John Lopez would not agree with this.
Tell me more specifically, ma'am, where in the provisions of the bill does this extend beyond the family then? Does it allow them to, the succession to extend beyond the family, the child or the wife?
No, it doesn't. It gives them the opportunity to do exactly what they say they wanted to do. So I don't understand what's the purpose of this bill. They have the 3-year provision in the law as it is written already. So the child, what they did in the beginning is they told us that this bill is a mirror to the federal government. The federal government gives the disabled veteran spouse and the 100, first of all, there's parameters, a qualifier. You have to be 100% disabled, in order to get that benefit, on a federal level. And the state has no parameters. So they want to give the benefit to spouses, all spouses, and it doesn't just say to the disabled veteran business spouse or the children. We believe that is the way that it's written now opens it to even business partners so that the business can continue. And the language is very misleading. It's things in this bill that make it just wide open for fraud, waste, and abuse. And I know that's not the intent of the legislative committee. So, we would urge you not to pass this bill because of those factors.
Allow me to have Assemblyman Chavez respond in terms of extending beyond the family.
It doesn't extend beyond family. In fact, it's very well scripted, strictly before the wife and the children within the family. And as you know, the federal law has a different process for contracting DVBE than California law. Two different organizations, 2 different laws that deal with it. In fact, the federal law right now has up to 10 years. This is a change, we're going to 3 years. However, just to let known, HR 1313 is passing a similar legislation that's going to be moving it to 3 years, death of a veteran with less than 100% disabled. So why the 3 years? Because that's kind of a transition period, recognizing there's concern for veterans. Who's a veteran, who's not a veteran? Is this going to be transition to somebody who's, I think the term was a civilian? It's a recognition that the spouse is part of the military family. Also recognizing the fact that this business that a veteran built, disabled veteran, provides resources to their family and allows them to continue to provide the resource of the family as once he or she is gone, lets the spouse continue on. So this is not out of sequence from what the feds are doing or the states are doing. There was a lot of discussion when I first did this. Originally, the DVB Alliance wanted me to do it 10 years with the federal law, and I thought that was too far out. Then they wanted me to do 5 years, and I said, well, let's move it to 3 years, because I was very concerned about, I know the issue of stolen valor and veterans is a big issue in the community. So this was a compromise. That's why it's 3 years. But as far as your direct question, only with a spouse only with a family member who's actually involved in the business itself at the time of the demise of the veteran.